Today on Podcasting for Financial Professionals, I'm joined by best-selling author and thought leadership coach, Nicky Billou. We're talking about how your energy directly impacts your income, why operating from fear or frustration actually repels your ideal client, and how shifting into high energy states like inspiration and excitement can completely change your results. Plus, Nikki shares how some of his clients have added 6 or 7 figures to their business simply by upgrading their energy, focus, and pricing. You're listening to Podcasting for Financial Professionals, the show where smart business owners learn how to use podcasting as a serious growth tool, not just another marketing experiment. I'm Virginia Elder, podcast strategist and founder of Podcast Abundance. Since 2019, I've helped professionals stop guessing with their podcast and instead build a show that increases their authority, expands reach, and generates leads for their business. If you've ever wondered whether your podcast is actually generating leads or if you're just kind of publishing episodes and hoping for the best, you're not alone. And the issue usually isn't the content. It's that no one ever showed you what to track. Your podcast builds authority, warms leads, expands your reach, and creates opportunities long before someone ever hires you. But if you're only watching download numbers, you're missing most of the ROI. That's why I created the Podcast ROI Metrics Tracker, a free tool that helps you track 50 plus non-traditional metrics so you can finally see what your podcast is really doing for your business. Grab it now at podcastabundance.com/ROI-tracker. All right, let's get into the episode. Nikki, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here today.
Virginia, it's an honor to be here. Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely. Something that you say that caught my eye is that business isn't a numbers game. It's a people game. So financial professionals really thrive in this like numbers driven, like heady space. So can you share how they can bring more heart and humanity into their work, but help them not sound salesy as they're pitching their services?
So I'm originally an immigrant from the Middle East. I'm a Christian from Iran. When I was 11 years old, the Islamic Revolution took place in Iran, and there were literal gun battles in the streets near my home. So my mom and dad were freaking out. So they made a plan, and it took them 2 years to execute on it, but they got us out of Iran to Europe. Now, at first, like, remember, I'm a kid. I don't want to leave my home. I don't want to leave my friends. But as time goes on, I could see the nobility of my mom and dad's awesome sacrifice because they left behind everything and everyone they knew for a chance at a better life for me and my 2 brothers. I became someone who helps entrepreneurs because of my mom and dad giving me this legacy of freedom. And my dad in particular, and he was the man who said to me, son, life is about people, not about money. And I said, okay, Dad. And then he said, son, even business is about people, not about money. And I said, Dad, but don't you need money to do business? He said, that's true, you do, son. But all business is solving problems for people for a profit. Imagine a Venn diagram: problems, people, profit. Where all 3 intersect, that's the purpose of business. And my father would say to me, that woman sitting in front of you, she's someone's daughter, she's someone's sister, she's someone's wife, right? She is a hero to somebody. And maybe someone just like you let her down in life or in business. It's your job to restore her faith in humanity. And he'd tell me every day, business is personal. All you got to do is bring them a little spark of belief, and it can turn into a roaring fire. And you could be the reason someone's life goes from tragic to magic. And if someone's listening to this and you're in the business of helping people make more money, remember at the end of the day, the most important thing about that is the person you're helping, the human being whose life you're touching, because them making more money could allow them to send a child they love to university. It could allow them to take care of a family member who's sick and can't work. It can allow them to build the dream home their wife's always wanted. And if you focus on the human being in front of you first, the money will take care of itself.
Yeah, the majority of the marketing out there is really disconnected from who you're actually trying to help in many cases, especially in the financial space. It is very numbers driven. And I think a lot of us fall into that accidentally because that's everything we see all the time. And so when we talk about, creating a podcast for your business or supporting your business with authentic content, it comes up as difficult for a lot of people, especially like financial professionals. They've, just been immersed in numbers through college, through every course and certification and test, and everything that they've done to create their business is all about numbers. So pulling from your backstory and finding like what is the emotional connection there that you can hit with your ideal clients. I think what you did in just your statement here is a great example of how to sell without being salesy, because you weren't pitching anything. You were sharing your story and your legacy and a little bit about your family and kind of what created your passion and personality, who you are today, and why you do this business. So, talk to me a little bit about the amazing people that you have shared stages with and how you've helped so many of these successful entrepreneurs build trust with their audience. Is there something special that they do to communicate with their audience?
Absolutely. Let me answer that, but I want to you talked about selling without being salesy, and let me address that real quick. Okay. So most people that go into business for themselves, especially people who are solopreneurs, solopreneurish, like a lot of the people that listen to your podcast, right? They initially go into business because they want to help people. Sure, they want to make money, but the truth of the matter is that we do it because we want to help people. And a lot of us kind of want that sales part to go away. We just want to do the work of the helping of the people, right? Like we want to do the coaching. We're really skilled at that. We want to do the managing of the money or the giving of the advice, but we want that pesky sales part to go away. And the reason is, and it's understandable, is because selling's associated with those fuller brush salespeople, and it just doesn't feel good. A lot of people they don't want to reek of commission breath when they walk into a room. So because of that, they don't take the time to get good at selling in a loving, ethical way. And I can understand that. But what we have to do is we got to help them see that when they don't do that, they are losing out. They don't get business they should get because they don't go after people they should go after. And people that need their help don't get their help because some charlatan marketer who has zero ethics is going to just come in and scoop up that business because they're good at saying what they're going to say. And at the end of the day, right, everyone loses, right? The client loses because they don't really get the help, right? If the charlatan marketer delivers, it's a happy accident. It was not the design, I assure you, right? Secondly, you lose because you don't get the business and your business suffers. And even the charlatan suffers because karma is real and what goes around comes around, right? So what do? Well, what you got to do first and foremost is you have to reframe sales to service. Don't look at it as selling, look at it as serving, look at it as an act of love. Nobody wants to be a pushy salesperson. Nobody wants to be sold. Virginia, you don't want to be sold. I don't want to be sold. But Virginia, don't you love buying from a caring advocate? Don't you love, you just like, yeah, here, take my money. Let's go. Let's roll. And if you take the attention off you, I hope they like me. I hope they love me. I hope they do business with me. And you put the attention on them. God, I hope that I can be the instrument of thy will in helping this person get the help they need to serve them out of suffering. And when that happens, it becomes so much simpler for you to attract good business to yourself.
Quick pause here, because you host a podcast for your business, so this matters. Most podcast hosts judge their success by downloads or whether someone hires them directly from their show. But that's not how podcasting actually works. Your show is building authority, warming leads, improving visibility, and creating opportunities long before a sales conversation happens. The problem is, most business owners don't track any of that. So they get frustrated and assume the podcast isn't working because they haven't gotten a client directly from an episode. I created the podcast ROI Metrics Tracker to fix that. It's a free tool that helps you track 50 plus non-traditional metrics so that you can finally see the real return your podcasting is doing for your business. You can grab it right now at podcastabundance.com/ROI-tracker. All right, back to the episode.
You asked about some of the people I've shared stages with. I've been fortunate. I've shared stages with some big people. I shared a stage with Jack Canfield, who wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul. I shared a stage with Lisa Nichols from the movie The Secret. On podcast, I've interviewed people like John Maxwell, who's the world's #1 leadership author. I interviewed George Ross, who was Donald Trump's right-hand man when he was a businessman and was on Celebrity Apprentice, and people like that. And Marie Forleo's Oprah Winfrey's coach, and blah, 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 blah. This is all great. Here's what I learned from them. So first and foremost, you've got to really raise your frequency, your energy vibration, because money is energy. Lots of money comes to you when your vibration's really high. When your vibration's really low, small amounts of money come to you. Okay, really small. There's a wonderful book written by Dr. David Hawkins, who's a PhD and an MD. He's passed on now. It's called Power versus Force. Okay, in this book, Dr. Hawkins talks about the various scale of consciousness energies. And this is where it is. And we human beings, we vibrate from energies as low as shame and guilt all the way to joy, peace, and enlightenment. And when you're down below courage, these are destructive emotional vibrations. And most of humanity vibrates well below 200. In North America, most people vibrate kind of 175 down, which is like pride, anger, desire, and not really courage, willingness, acceptance, reason, love. So I want to teach you to learn about vibrations and to do everything in your power to raise your energy vibration, because people will want to do business with you when they notice that your vibration is high, because they're going to feel there's something special there. There's something attractive, and that's the attractor pattern of energy. I want to be clear. This guy was a molecular biologist and an MD, okay? This has been researched and proven. This did not come out of the ether, okay? There's been calibrations on people's energy, and where you energetically spend your time is going to determine whether your energy is high. Look, it just makes sense. If you're angry all the time, you're not going to attract a lot. Does that, you know what I'm saying? While if you're happy and joyous all the time, you're going to attract a lot. It just makes sense. And if you're one of these people who's like always in his or her arrogance and pride, that's going to turn a lot of people off too. This This has been proven through study after study. This is a well-researched, well-documented book. There's no woo-woo here whatsoever. And I gotta tell you, man, I'm not a woo-woo guy. I've studied some woo-woo stuff, but I'm not a woo-woo guy. I'm a devout, and committed Christian. And I'm a scientist. I'm a capitalist. I'm telling you, this stuff's real. Patrick Bet-David, the host of Valuetainment Podcast, one of the biggest business podcasts in the world, references this book and the scale of energy consciousness as being critical to his success, going from a broke kid to a guy who just sold his company for $252 million. Okay. So this is real. If you're someone who is in business and you are a left brain, show me the facts, logic person, go here. Now, if you're a right brain person, there's a lot you can find in here that you'll love as well. But I want to just be super, super clear that this is not woo-woo.
Well, I love how you broke that down actually in your explanation, just from someone who's like, okay, what's that mean to raise my energy? Like, they're not understanding that piece. How you said, okay, if you're this person who's blameful and angry, and that is in a negative space, right? If you think about it logically, who wants to be around you when you're angry and blameful and nasty, right? Nobody. We want to get away from you. So if that is the way you're living, you could probably understand why customers aren't just, banging down your door, right? So you actually helped break it down to someone who may not even understand, okay, raise my energy. Like, what's that mean? Because there are definitely people out there that haven't connected with that language yet. So I appreciate that you separated. And I love the book recommendation. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's good. He is a real thought leader. He thinks issues through and he comes up with good ideas to share with people. So I definitely like him. I've been to 2 of his events. I'm going again next year. So let me give you an example of an individual that I've worked with who's a client of mine. His name is Mathieu. He is a coach who works with people with gardens and creating beautiful landscapes for properties. And he'll show you how to create like an awesome garden in your house. Now, Mathieu is a high level, high energy guy. English is his 4th language. Okay. So first language is Dutch, then French, then German, then English. And his clients, he speaks to everyone in English. Okay. So you got to just get this. So Mathieu came to us, and I want to just talk about this, raising your energy vibration. And he's a guy who's naturally positive, but sometimes, his energy dips. And he'd been working with me for a little while, and he had some good success, but he also had some ups and some downs. And he said to me, so Nikki, I want to talk to you, and I know what you're going to say to me, but the last couple of months, business has been hard. I've been grinding. I haven't made that much money, like, 7,000, 10,000 a month. What do I need to do to raise my income? I said, you're right. You do know what I'm going to say to you. And he goes, oh my God, with the energy, with the vibration and all that. That's like, and I said, Mathieu, when your energy vibration is super high, you are a magnetic, attractive individual, and people are going to want to do business with you. When your energy is like kind of in the middle, they're not. So I said, here is the game plan. I want you to listen to, I podcast myself. Actually, I have 2. Listen to my podcast daily for an hour. Listen to this particular recording of a certain kind of training around how to have a sales conversation daily for an hour. And I want you to read some books. I give people a lot of books to read. Like, I'm a reader. I read over 100 books a year. And I said to him, you're going to do this for the next 30 days. No excuses. Every day, I want your energy vibration. So he did. Within 4 days, he made a big sale. And then within 28 days, he sold, I believe it was 46,500 euro, which euros are worth more than dollars. So close to, I think, 50 grand, which was his best single month ever. And it was one coaching call, 20 minutes. And I told him, focus on your vibration. I didn't give him any new sales techniques. I didn't give him anything new, exciting about how to build his brand online. I didn't talk about building thought leader authority. I talk about all that stuff. That's in my wheelhouse. I'm amazing at it. We did not go there. All I had him do was raise his vibration. That's all I had him do. And it was enough that the people that were around him and near him were like, okay, I'm buying, I'm buying, I'm buying, I'm buying, I'm buying. If you're listening to this and you're like, okay, how do I do that, Nikki? I'm like, all right, I'm going to tell you. First of all, go by Power versus Force and read it and take notes, underline it. That's number one. Number two, listen to Virginia's podcast every day for an hour for the next 30 days, no matter what. No excuses, no backtracking. All right. Read positive things. The inputs into your brain need to be positive and uplifting. Okay, 30 days. And that alone will raise your vibration and should help you sell more. Okay. Now, if you need more than that, if you need to get better at selling and all of that, then you can book a call with me and I'll have a conversation with you about all that to get you going at that. But this, anybody can do right now. Anybody can order this book. It's like 25 bucks. Ain't gonna break the bank, right? To order the book. And you can listen to Virginia's podcast for free. If you can't invest $25 and 2 hours a day in yourself for the next 30 days, you don't deserve to be successful. I'm sorry.
Plain language. I completely agree with you. Even just using myself as an example, just personal experience. When I am feeling inspired, when the weather's beautiful outside and I've managed to get out there for a little while, if I have done a project that I'm really proud of that, is done, the room is repainted or whatever, and I'm happy with it. Any of these things that create happiness, inspiration, excitement, these positive energies, right? Either while that's happening or while I'm soaking in the glory of the good thing that I did or the beautiful weather or whatever it is, I am always inspired to do something else, right? It's this marketing idea comes to mind or these social media posts or, stuff that's like completely not related, but it's because you are in this higher, like celebratory almost energy. Other things happen. And one thing I've learned about myself is that I have to catch those thoughts and write them down because they are gold ideas. Because maybe I can't execute them fully right now. They're awesome ideas, but maybe it would take me 2-3 days to fully execute that plan or, this program or whatever it is. So write it down while you're in that high energy, whether it takes a bullet point or 14 pages. I have to catch it, right? Before it flies away. Because inevitably, yes, I will have some lower energy days where I'm kind of like fighting to find that high energy again. Maybe I'm needing some inspirational content, or maybe I need to get out in the sunshine some more, or maybe I need to take some time off. Sometimes that really flips the energy. But I have definitely noticed what you're sharing when I, am loving a book that I'm reading, when I'm feeling inspired by content. So, just from personal experience, I totally agree. And I think it's that action that we're able to take when we're in that high energy and you capture that idea. Maybe you wrote down, on a page in your journal and you're able to start on it. Though that's when you're able to put that energy out into the world and attract the clients, right? So sometimes it can feel like, okay, well, yeah, I'm like in my living room dancing and I'm so happy and I'm in that high energy. But how do I put that into the business in a way that people can see? Or how do I, get on the phone with potential clients so that they can feel my energy, right? So it's that translation from my energy in my home, in walls that no one can see, and how do I execute it in the business in a way that other people can feel it and be attracted to it?
A week ago yesterday, one of my clients sent me a note going, I'm frustrated, I'm overwhelmed, and I'm not making sales, right? Like that's like
Typical.
frustrated, overwhelmed, not making sales. This isn't working for me, blah, blah,
These
blah.
all go together.
So I called him right away and I said, all right, let's talk. And I let him talk for a bit because he needed to get it off his chest. I said to him, man, straight up, do you believe that you're an expert at what you're doing? Yes or no? And don't BS me. I want to know the truth. Do you at this moment? And he said, well, I believe I'm an expert in what I'm doing, but I don't think I can charge more than X. And that was part of what was frustrating him, right? And X was a really tiny number. And I'm like, oh, so you don't believe in the value of what you're offering. He was about to argue with me. And then he said, I guess you're right. I don't. And I said, all right. So I went through a little exercise with him. I said, how long have you been doing what you've been doing? And he told me I've been doing it X number of years. And I said, okay, great. How many people have you helped make how much money? So we went through all that. I go, okay, is that valuable? He goes, yeah, that's really valuable. I go, so this little thought you've had that it's not worth more than this much, is that actually true? Or is that just, your fear speaking, your resistance? You know Steve Pressfield's book, The War of Art, the concept of resistance? Yeah. So he's like, oh my God. Oh yeah. All right. Yeah. He said, you're right. I completely forgot how valuable my stuff is. I go, all right. I want you to sit in this zone and own the value of how valuable your stuff is, how many people you've helped. I want you to get on the phone and make some calls. In 48 hours, he made $14,000 in sales. 48 hours. And he was like 2-3 weeks grinding for $300 sales, $500 sales a week. And it was like, 48 hours, 14 grand. Like that. Okay. And so you got to get this fellow is really good at what he does. And by the way, he's a financial advisor, right? That's what he does.
Perfect.
Financial advisor and money coach. So he helps put people in investments. And then on top of that, he has a coaching program. And the coaching program was what he was charging, like a minuscule amount.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, who are you going to help with that little minuscule amount? Not the client, not you, right? Mm-hmm. And not your confidence in the value of what you're offering. And I said to him, if you don't get what you should get, you won't give what you should give. You're actually ripping off your clients.
Ooh.
He was like, ooh. That's a Nicky Billou original quote, by the way.
Okay, I'm going to caption that.
What you should give, right? So Buddy goes, all right. And I said, you don't want to gouge people, but you got to charge enough that you feel that there's a fair value exchange. And if you're coming from fear, remember we talked about fear being at level 100? I mean, that's not a good vibration. You're coming from fear when you're like, no one's going to pay, I'm scared. If you're coming from fear, when you put your pricing together, you're ripping yourself off, you're ripping your client off. You're ripping yourself. Now, I'm going to tell you something, right? Several years ago, I worked with two people, one who was a stranger to me when I met him and the other who was one of my best friends. And I started charging the stranger my usual coaching fee, but the fellow was one of my best friends. I told him, oh, hey, man, I'll just coach you for free. You're my best friend, man. I'm not going to charge you. Here's what happened. Best friend quit in 2 months. 2 years later, his business grew maybe like 5%. Stranger didn't quit. Stranger paid me over $200,000 because we had a high ticket arrangement and I shared in his wins over a 2-year period. But he made $2.5 million. Who did I really do a favor for? You've got to own your pricing. And if you're here right now and going, okay, well, I just get a certain percentage. All right, fine. But if you have a coaching program and you're undercharging and you know you're undercharging, you're hurting your client, you're hurting yourself. Big time, big time. And I'll tell another story about that real quick. I had a client who had an acupuncture clinic in Manhattan, okay, back in the day. And he had a great business and he had high profile clients and he made 150,000 a year. But that's Manhattan, man. That's nothing, right? So he comes to me through a mutual friend and he goes, yo, I need to tenfold my business. I need to make over 1 million a year. I'm like, all right, let's look at your business. Everything about his business was great except what he charged. He charged a minuscule amount. I said, you got to charge more, man. Clients, this ain't working for you or for your clients. And he said, okay, how much? 10% more? Give me a break. 20? No. 30% more? And I'm like, no, dude, no. You need to 20-fold your prices. And he freaked. What are you talking about? No one's going to pay. Blah, blah. I said, calm down, man. Relax. Don't hyperventilate. He finally agreed to 7-fold his prices. Okay. His business exploded. Within 4 months, he made $1.2 million. 1.2 million in 4 months. And one of the reasons that it exploded was his high profile celebrity clients came and said to him, you're finally charging a price where I feel comfortable inviting my friends to come here because you charge too little. They would never believe that this is any good based on what you used to charge.
Wow. So let me ask you, there is a lot of talk, especially from business coaches, about double your pricing, raise your pricing, go high ticket, do this, do that, right? And it's all really focused on increasing your rate. At the same time, many entrepreneurs are really concerned about offering the same thing for this doubled rate, 7x rate, whatever it is that they're being advised. So there's this desire to further stack the offer, to add more stuff. And what happens then is when the offer is so stacked, it also gets blurry. There's too much involved. It's no longer a clear, simple, straightforward offer. You get this, it's this much money. It's you get these 10 things and maybe I don't need half of them, so why would I buy this? So what is your advice in that train of thought?
Offer less, charge more. It's not about what you offer in terms of the things that you do. It really isn't. It's about the value of the outcome you provide. So Virginia, I have a 90-day sales accountability course that I do. It's called 90K in 90 days. Here's what you get for it. You get a weekly group call. You get access to training modules to show you how to have a sales call powerfully, authentically, and effectively, and how to handle objections. You get one coaching call a month, and it's $10,000. Okay. And there's a lot of people go, oh my God, why do you charge so much? I think I charge too little, to tell you the truth. I think I charge too little. And I think that the people who come into our community and work with us will between 3x and 100x their money. The average person makes $35,000 to $50,000 more. The name of the program is 90K in 90 days. That's the goal. There's a lot of people that have done that have done more than that. The best result we got for somebody was $1,050,000, actually in 32 days, not even 90, right? Out of that. I'm here to get you an outcome. This isn't a Ginsu knife, man.
That's helpful, actually, because like you use the example of the financial advisor. Sure, like some things are investment based. You get your 1%. That's a kind of like fixed model for a lot of folks. But then when you talk about money coaching or even CPA services or many other financial services, there's this tendency to say, okay, well, I'm spending an hour with you per week, or I'm spending 10 hours on your tax return, or 50 hours on it, whatever it is, right? And to base the rate on the amount of time you're putting in, or the amount, something like that, rather than, hey, the outcome of this is that I've solved this massive problem for you and it's worth this much, right? Not just I got you money back on your tax return, but it was done correctly. You can walk off with confidence. Maybe you got a refund, maybe you didn't, but we strategically took deductions and did things that were necessary for your personal situation, right? Like, you can kind of go through this list of outcomes for whatever services you provide. And I do find that some financial professionals have a hard time quantifying those benefits or those outcome feelings, right? That relief, that confidence in your money, whatever those outcomes are, we have a hard time quantifying those feelings. So, what do you say on that?
You don't quantify feelings, you quantify outcomes, right? Like, if you're working with an entrepreneur and you're preparing their taxes, and the objective for that entrepreneur is to minimize their taxes, and you can show them how you've saved them $30, $40, $50,000 in taxes, you want to charge $50 for doing that return? We have a couple of CPAs. In Canada, they're called CAs, Chartered Accountants, that are our clients. And we've helped them raise their fees. And we've also helped them come up with advisory and consulting services that charge more for. That's the right way to do it.
Yeah, I love that. So, tell me, since we're talking about the money piece in combination with the outcomes, you have this phrase you use called profitable generosity. I can derive what I think that means, but I would love to hear your story about that.
One of my friends is a guy named Ivan Meisner. He was the founder of BNI, and he has something he calls giver's gain. Basically, the concept of it is the more you give, the more you get. When we have someone and they sign up for one of our programs, we always give them more than they expect. Like, if they need more than the one coaching call a month that we offer, we'll give them more than that. And when they come to our events, we like to wow them with incredible, out of this world gifts. So I work with my sweetheart, Teresa. So she's put together songs using AI about people with video. She has them give them their origin story, and she'll create your own personalized walkout song. And these songs will bring tears to people's eyes, right? She's put together magazine covers of these people as top-level thought leaders and presents that to them, that sort of thing. People love receiving thoughtful gifts.
Mm-hmm. I like that. I am curious, the folks that join your thought leadership programs, heart leadership programs, is there a common thread that runs through these successful ones versus folks that quit early or don't do the homework or something like that?
Well, they're coachable. They take the coaching. They have a no quit attitude, so they stick with it. And they're givers. They want to give. They don't want to complain. That really is the main commonality. And interestingly enough, the overwhelming majority of our people are like that. But in any program that you have, you've got people that quit early, unfortunately. And I'm sad when that happens, because I think they're just like, the fellow in that book, Acres of Diamonds, who's like inches away from finding the diamond field and gives up.
Right. I agree. Well, where can people go to hear your show and to check out your programs?
Well, my show is thethoughtleaderrevolution.com or the Thought Leader Revolution on iTunes, Spotify, et cetera, et cetera. Best way to find out about what we do is jump on a call with me. Go to ecircleacademy.com/appointment. Tell me a little bit about you. I don't want to talk about me so much. I want to know about you, what you're facing. And if we can help, we'll talk about how we can help. That's the best way.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing with us today, Nikki.
Thanks for having me on the show, Virginia. Great to be here.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Podcasting for Financial Professionals. Before you go, make sure you're actually measuring what your podcast is producing. Not by vibes, not by download spikes, but by the actual outcomes it's creating. Authority, visibility, and leads for your business. Your podcast is doing more than you think. You just need a way to see it. That's why I created the Podcast ROI Metrics Tracker, a free tool that helps you track the real return your podcasting for business is creating. From authority and visibility to leads and opportunities across many categories. Download it right now at podcastabundance.com/ROI-tracker.